Good evening, Florida, and welcome to Coastal Conservative News, where truth has a backbone and freedom still has a home. I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger. We're bringing you the bold stories, the real headlines, and the voices that matter most, right here from the free state of Florida.
That's right, from Tallahassee all the way to the Suncoast, we're tracking the political shifts, the community victories, and constitutional battles shaping the future of our state and our nation.
So buckle up. It's time to get informed, get fired up, and get involved. This is CCN Coastal Conservative News.
That's right. Okay, let's kick things off with Katie and your week in review.
Hello, Patriots. I'm Katie with CCN's Week in Review. Yesterday, out of Sarasota County, a controversy has erupted after a parent attending open house at Venice High School discovered that a teacher had displayed pride flags in the classroom, designating it as a so-called safe space. But parents are asking the question, safe space for who? Critics say these symbols don't promote equality. Instead, they divide. They argue classrooms should be neutral, devoted to academics, not turned into stages for political or social agendas. For many families, these displays undermine the morals of other children and create the very opposite of inclusion. The concern goes beyond symbolism. Parents are pointing to the recent national tragedies, including the elementary Covenant School shooting this week in Nashville, where a transgender individual carried out a deadly attack against the Christian community. They say turning classrooms into ideological safe spaces for one group could ultimately strip away true sense of safety for others, including students of faith. The message from many in the community is strong. Education should never be overshadowed by politics. Schools must remain places of equal learning, not arenas for activism, dividing, and even endangering our children. We believe all children deserve to feel safe, respected, including those in the LGBTQ+ community. But classrooms should remain focused on learning, free from political or social symbols. We got a sneak preview of the brand new Mo Aquarium Sea, set to open in 2025, right here in Sarasota. Inspired by the beauty of our oceans, this state-of-the-art facility will showcase sea life and groundbreaking research like never before. Here's a look at what's to come.
Hi, I'm Katie with Coastal Conservative News. I'm outside the new Mo Aquarium. As of now, Mo has not set a specific grand opening date. The opening depends on two critical processes: achieving stable water chemistry in the habitats and completing animal quarantine transfer and acclimation. In front of me is something Sarasota has been waiting for, the brand new Mo Science Education Aquarium. This incredible $1,300 million project will soon be one of our community's biggest gems. The building itself is stunning, right here off of University Parkway next to UTC and Nathan Benderson Park. From restoring coral reefs to saving sea turtles, Mo is all about preserving the ocean for generations to come.
While no exact date has been announced, anticipation is building across our community on when Moat Sea will open. We'll keep you updated. All signs point to this being an incredible addition to the Gulf Coast. Congratulations to Karen Rose. We are proud to see her appointed by Governor Ron DeSantis to serve out the remainder of Tim Enos's term. Karen has always led with professionalism, focus, and a deep commitment to the business of the board. Her steady leadership and dedication to Sarasota County schools has earned tremendous support across our community. We are so grateful to have her guiding decisions that impact our children's future. I am confident she will continue doing a phenomenal job. I am deeply saddened to share that 5-year-old Zaria Miller, who was swept away by rapid waters following a water main break on August 24th, has passed away just yesterday. Her family shared on GoFundMe that Zaria has received the ultimate healing and is in the arms of Jesus. There is an active GoFundMe campaign to support Zaria's family during this unimaginable time, covering medical and funeral expenses. Any additional funds raised will be donated to pediatric charities. At CCN, our hearts are with her family and friends. We mourn alongside them and call on our community to surround them with prayer, compassion, and support. That's all for this week in review. Thanks for listening. I will see you next week here on CCN.
Hi. Hello, how are you?
We are here to get an IV.
An IV. I heard you have an IV room?
Yeah, absolutely. You just head right back this way.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Knock, knock. Hello. Hi, I'm Michelle.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah, this
Hi,
is Al.
Allie. Nice to see you.
How can I help you?
We're stressed. We're
Yeah.
moms. We've got multitasking going on. I feel like I fall victim to like a brain fog a little bit. I don't know if that's my age or whatnot.
You need a little bit of clarity, a little bit of energy.
Yep.
Is there an IV that you would recommend for that? Thank you.
We call this the brainstorm.
The brainstorm.
The brainstorm.
Come visit We the People Health and Wellness Center.
Where medical freedom exists. Thank you so much, Katie, for those updates at Moat Marine. We really appreciate your report. So now here is Raj Doraisamy with our Suncoast Community segment.
I'm here in Rhode Island, and I've got an update for you on what is going on with the capture of electricity benefiting a few private corporations and utilities at the expense of the taxpayer. Why this is particularly relevant is there's an effort in Florida to do the same thing, and if we look at Rhode Island, it gives us a sneak peek into what the proponents of this maneuver are actually trying to achieve, because it looks like they've achieved it in Rhode Island. So let's get right into it. Earlier, we reported on the push in Florida driven by special interest groups tied to the solar panel industry to pressure our state and bring in FPL and Duke Energy as cohorts into over-investing in solar and wind. The issue is that solar lacks the capacity to reliably meet Florida's energy needs, and that shortfall is why analysts now warn of a $9 billion rate hike, the largest in U.S. history. And while this hike has not taken effect, the plan itself reveals a broader, coordinated national push. We're seeing now almost the same playbook unfold in Rhode Island. There, the utility companies have not only expanded solar farms, but have also invested heavily in offshore wind projects. Locals told us the offshore turbines, which by the way are not hurricane tested, they told us, they require massive high voltage lines laid across the seabed connecting these wind turbines that are installed offshore to the consumers, which are all on the mainland. Those lines are sadly disrupting marine life, harming fisheries, raising alarms about the health of whales and other sea creatures, not to mention the impact on the beautiful Rhode Island coastline. The costs, as in Florida, are staggering. Rhode Islanders say that while their electric bills have surged, they are also very disappointed in how this particular issue has been managed and literally forced on them in a stealth way. And while some owners enjoy solar panels while the sun is shining, which is when we are here right now, once snow covers those panels or skies stay overcast, that benefit disappears. Now, unlike Florida, where grassroots activists stopped some of these horrible bills, Rhode Island's legislature passed these laws. And in addition to the laws that I just described above, they've also passed additional laws that are stripping local communities of authority in handling matters within their location. Specifically, they have passed legislation that has transferred authority from the county to the state, where private companies can more easily get what they want by throwing a lot of money around or other techniques that are designed to persuade decisions that a few people in the capital will make. And these decisions are at the expense of the taxpayers that voted them in. So residents have told us that this kind of move has opened the door to politically connected developers to push unwanted building projects. We also heard frustration about how the housing policy in Rhode Island has now been weaponized. Developers or bureaucrats, either way, targeting strong communities where additional housing is actually not needed and bringing housing projects to those locations in a way that's not sustainable and will likely bring the quality of life and the value of those properties down, while at the same time areas that need more housing are being ignored, like the cities. So many Rhode Islanders see this as part of the larger agenda, often linked to what's called Agenda 2030. The concern is that policies like these diminish individual rights and freedoms, and these policies try to dictate how Americans can live, where they can travel, and even how far. So while Florida has so far resisted, Rhode Island is now living with these dramatic consequences. The contrast makes clear that these are not isolated cases, but part of a broader national movement. And how Florida has been able to mitigate these has literally been a strong grassroots volunteer activist movement by regular citizens, sounding the alarm and working with their elected officials to stop this. And that's unfortunately has not happened in states like Rhode Island. Back to you, Ali and Michelle.
Thank you, Raj, for that report. It is kind of interesting to see what develops across the nation in terms of energy and energy independence. I'm sure Raj will keep us updated on that. Guys, next up is our Political Pulse segment right here on CCN.
Good evening, I'm Ali Leger. Welcome to Political Pulse on Coastal Conservative News, where we deliver this week's most significant developments from the free state of Florida.
And I'm Michelle Posey. Tonight, Florida leaders secure justice in a high-profile case. State officials unveil a new immigration enforcement initiative. Governor DeSantis challenges a federal judge. And new developments emerge on education, property taxes, and public safety.
Here are the top stories this week.
That's right, Ali. Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins announced that Harjinder Singh, the truck driver accused of causing a fatal crash on the Florida Turnpike, has been successfully extradited to Florida to face trial. Take a look at this.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And yes, I absolutely did. I flew over to California. We landed in San Francisco, drove over to the FBO, and then we coordinated to pick him up, transfer him into our custody, and I personally walked him out of the plane, made sure that everything went smoothly, got him there, did a press conference explaining, why we did this, why it's important, and then we brought him back to Florida, and now he is awaiting his opportunity to go through our legal system and find accountability for what he did.
A petition calling for federal clemency has reportedly gathered over 2.5 million signatures.
Wow.
State officials emphasize that Singh will be prosecuted under Florida law despite this campaign.
Florida's leadership has reiterated that accountability for crimes committed within the state will not be undermined by outside pressure.
Attorney General Uthmeyer and Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson held a press conference in Live Oak, Florida, to announce a new immigration initiative focused on enhanced cooperation with law enforcement and targeted operations.
Today we are putting people who break the law on notice. If you come through these interstations and you're an illegal or breaking the law, you will be handed over to our local or federal partners. If you are driving a commercial vehicle and you are not proficient in English, we will comply with the President's executive order. Thank you for giving us a few minutes to highlight the good work of Ag Law and our law enforcement partners to combat criminal activity of illegal immigration. This is a tremendous effort, starting with President Trump, Governor DeSantis, and our sheriffs and local law enforcement. Ag Law is proud to be a force multiplier on these national security and immigration issues. At this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to Attorney General James Uthmeyer.
Our office is calling on the federal government, the United States Department of Transportation, to revoke CDL programs in California and Washington. If the federal government identifies systematic abuse of these programs and allowing illegal aliens, perhaps even encouraging illegal aliens to obtain these licenses. And if other states like New Jersey and others are engaging in similar practice, then those programs should be revoked as well, and any funding tied to it should also be revoked. Thank God we've got a president that is restoring law and order, that has secured the border, and that has brought back American sovereignty. This is saving lives, this is protecting our people, and going forward, we're going to help him deliver on his promises. Here in Florida, we're leading the way. We're going to continue to interdict as many people as possible. I know several hundred illegal aliens were detained last week in state law enforcement efforts. And we'll continue to get them to Alligator Alcatraz or other places. And we will combat in court activist judges that want to shut down these facilities. I'll conclude by saying this. When it comes to fighting for President Trump, there's no state like Florida, and there's no leadership team like Governor DeSantis and our cabinet. So thank you for having me today.
According to Uthmeyer, Florida will continue to reject sanctuary policies and expand its capacity to identify and remove criminal aliens from communities.
Florida is positioning itself as a national leader in state-level immigration enforcement.
And that's good news. Listen, a federal judge, I hate when judges think they're going to come in and take the role of the executive. Anyway, a federal judge, Kathleen Williams, has ordered the shutdown of the immigration detention facility commonly known as Alligator Alcatraz. There goes my Halloween costume. Citing environmental concerns and legal violations.
Processing Center down in South Florida at Alligator Alcatraz. I just wanted to just say this was not something that was unexpected. This is a judge that was not going to give us a fair shake. This was preordained. Very much an activist judge that is trying to do policy from the bench. This is not going to deter us. We're going to continue working on the deportations, advancing that mission. We knew that this would be something that would likely happen, and we will respond accordingly. That have already been ordered to be removed by the current system, and yet the previous administration didn't want to do anything about it. We're now in this position where we're leading the state efforts to help the Trump administration actually enforce the law and actually remove these illegal aliens from not just Florida, but from our country. And that's something that we didn't have for 4 years, and now that's something that we're absolutely on board with making sure happens going forward. And so we're not going to be deterred. We're totally in the right on this. But I would also note, because of the success of Alligator Alcatraz, there's demand for more. So I did announce that we are going to be opening another facility right outside of Jacksonville in Baker County, and we've called that the Deportation Depot. And so that is something that will be able to hold another 2,000. There's an airport close by, and so you have the processing and then the removal.
Governor Ron DeSantis announced that his administration will not comply with the ruling, describing it as judicial overreach. Attorney General Uthmeyer signaled plans to challenge the decision.
This is mission ongoing. You know, we've got a ruling from an activist judge here, another one of these judges that want to be a policymaker, legislator, and stand in the way of President Trump and his policy goals. Was not a surprise. I've been held in contempt by this judge in another immigration-related case. So look, the facility is still operating. Obviously, there's a lot of deportations that are ongoing, taking people out of the facility. The judge has said no more new people can go in, but we disagree with that order. We believe we're right on the law, and we've appealed it to the 11th Circuit. And we have other facilities that are already ready to go to continue to ensure that we are delivering on their mission, and we're detaining and deporting as many people as possible.
General, how many individuals are at Alligator Alcatraz still? Can you give us a number? And where are the other facilities in the state of Florida?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a precise number this moment. I know it was about 250 last time I got briefed. We've got another facility up in Baker County, a jail that's completely abandoned and is going to be used. Camp Blanding, where our National Guard operates, can hold thousands. We've got spaces in Southwest Florida near Homestead Air Force Base that can be activated. We've got jails across the state. So we've got the space. We're going to continue to help the federal government with detentions, and ultimately, we're going to fight for our state. We're going to fight sanctuary states like California and Gavin Newsom that want to let illegals come into our state, and we're going to continue to detain criminals. Just this morning, we announced that we busted 8 child predators, one of them being an illegal alien. So you've got the left and the media, crying, saying these are people that just want to be law-abiding citizens and raise a family and work hard in our state. Well, I'm sorry. That is not what we are seeing. We are seeing people engaging in dangerous criminal activities, trying to molest our children. Absolutely not. So whether it's Alligator, Alcatraz, or Rattlesnake Rikers, I don't care where it's going to be. We're going to detain as many illegals as possible, and we're going to get them back where they came from.
General.
I hope he does. The case highlights the tension between Florida's immigration policies and federal judicial authority, with significant financial and political implications.
Absolutely. Now, Attorney General Uthmeier also announced new arrests as part of a statewide operation targeting child predators who entered the country illegally.
So here we've got 8 individuals being arrested, 6 are already in custody. And one of these individuals, I will point out, is an illegal alien that should not even be in the country. So you hear the left, you hear the media, try to spin this narrative that, people are just here wanting to pursue a good living, an honest living. And then every time we do one of these stings, we end up pulling illegal aliens off the streets that are trying to molest and prey upon our kids. So no, it is not just people that are here wanting to, work hard and raise a family. There are people here that have illicit motives that want to hurt our children. So we are going to continue to enforce rule of law. We're going to continue to detain these individuals and get them back where they came from.
Authorities confirmed multiple arrests, reinforcing Florida's commitment to aggressive law enforcement in cases involving crimes against children.
Now, Florida officials continue to prioritize child protection as a central element of immigration enforcement.
That's right. Now, the Florida Democratic Party chair, buckle up, this is going to get good, Nikki Fried, is facing criticism for her response to a fatal shooting in Minneapolis. Fried used the incident to call for political action, drawing backlash for politicizing the tragedy.
Now, state Democratic leadership is under scrutiny for its handling of sensitive national events, while Republicans continue to stress law and order priorities.
That's right.
Debate continues over the proposed DOGE Act and reforms to Florida's property tax systems. Reports indicate the legislation could provide significant relief for homeowners.
All of that is why I, as the Chief Financial Officer today, are issuing investigative subpoenas for all documents related to these grant programs. In fact, prior to us holding this press conference today, the subpoenas were signed by me, and probably by now they have been handed out to county government. In addition, I have issued investigative subpoenas for Orange County employees who we think were involved in the grant process, the interviews with our team, and uploading partial information, not incomplete information, to Florida DOGE. So I think it is very apparent that taxpayers deserve and have a right to know where their money is being spent. Now, I'm probably freaking out a lot of Orange County employees right now. My advice to you is, when you are contacted and when you're going to be interviewed, do not hide the information. Be truthful with them. We know that people above you told you to go and change the information in an effort to try to hide the information from us. Don't lie to us, because if we have to, we will bring in FDLE and digital forensic units to find out exactly who did what. So please be truthful with us, be forthright, Our job is to make sure that we get rid of the spending in advance of a property tax cut. Do not put yourself in a situation where you're relying to law enforcement. When I took office, I promised that I was going to be a fiscal pit bull when it comes to spending. I think we're proving here today and continue what we're doing every day that we are rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, and I'm going to continue to hold those promises. I mean every word that I say. If local governments hear my voice, and if they thought me issuing subpoenas, investigative subpoenas, were just a throwaway, sort of like a threat to local governments, well, Orange County fooled around, and now they're about to find out. It is a large property tax cut. You are seeing it now. Local governments are complaining, and they are saying they're already playing defense. They're saying that they are not going to be able to cut because they're going to have to cut essential services. They're saying that they're going to have to cut fire, and they're going to have to cut police. They're going to do everything they possibly can to scare everyday citizens and taxpayers into keeping the gravy train going. They never thought in a million years they were going to have this governor and this CFO basically shining the light on a lot of the wasteful spending. So just to reiterate what the governor was saying is that over the last 4 years, there has been about an 80,000 person population increase in Orange County. But the budget has increased about $560 million, well over $1 billion.
And who doesn't need that, right? Chief Financial Officer Blaise Ingoglia commented, stating, Florida homeowners deserve real relief, not endless tax hikes. And that's a quote.
Mm-hmm. Tax reform remains a top legislative priority with strong Republican support and growing public momentum.
That's right. And now, as Florida concludes its second full week of the school year, Education Commissioner Stasi Kamoutsas reported positive feedback statewide, citing successful starts in classrooms and strong parental engagement.
Florida's education reforms are being credited with improved early year results and high satisfaction among parents and educators.
That's right, and we've got a sneak peek here of the opportunity we had to sit down and interview personally Bridget Ziegler. She is a Sarasota County School Board member, also co-founder of Moms for Liberty. We had an interesting incident here in Sarasota County where we had a school board member who stepped down, leaving the opportunity for Governor DeSantis to appoint a school board member. We sat down with Bridget Ziegler, and this is what she had to say. Take this. So then the governor reaches in and appoints Karen Rose back to the board. What do you?
That's awesome.
Explain that process and what you think that's going to bring now.
I couldn't be more excited. I think when we lost Karen, it was a major loss, and something I want to make sure people understood how valuable she was. What's actually interesting is you want a board that's diverse in experience, and I like one that's aligned in philosophy, meaning like parents are the true, they are and that you want limited government principles, but different perspectives of experience, business backgrounds. Some people, parents of different ages, etc. But we never had an educator at all in the time I was on the board.
Oh, wow.
Not one.
Interesting.
So in 22, when she ran, I may have the dates, the years, because she ran a couple times. It was finally like we need somebody who, again, aligns with the principles of limited government and that understands and respects and will fight and preserve parental rights and focus on core instruction and not activism. But also there's a whole litany of data and like instruction or curriculum components that having somebody who understands that is really important, that you also align with. Again, that's a key piece, because then you can trust where they're coming forward. And if there is any gamesmanship or information, data being presented to you, which happens all the time in districts, all the time, if you, you can make data tell whatever story you want. And so if you don't have someone that really ultimately understands it or knows where to look, it can be challenging. And
or knows the right questions to ask.
Exactly. And so, and that takes time if you're not from the inside, but if you have somebody from the inside, that does. So she was incredibly valuable. She was very respected in that manner. So having her back is a glorious moment. And it's, there's no learning curve. And that we have, 12 months until essentially, maybe a little bit more, until the next election. No, actually, no, we don't, because it's August. And that's only so many meetings. And, I'm very interested in making sure we codify a lot of things that we've been able to do. over the last 10 years. I mean, when it comes to preserving parental rights, I really need to ensure that there's no more activism taking place in our schools. The political piece that you said.
Yes.
Boards can be political if they want, but as long as we put a dome over the academics, like in the schools, that is not, they are not supposed to be activism centers.
Right.
Elected officials, you're going to always have politics. You're always going to. It's inevitable. I think people use it as a scapegoat, like, oh, this is being political. Well, okay, to own it, but I don't want it in our schools. And unfortunately, the left has utilized our schools as activism centers. You see it. They may have they may be a little bit more subtle about it because of the legislation that's taken place in Florida. But trust me, everyone, even in a conservative county with a majority conservative school board, with an amazing governor and an amazing president in office, they're not letting go of their power grab of schools. And that is why you have to be on it at all times.
Well, it's because you educate the child, so goes the soul of the nation.
Guys, you're going to want to dial in and catch that interview in its entirety. It is an exclusive right here with Coastal Conservative News. If you want to see that, tune in Monday at 7 p.m. That's Labor Day, 7 p.m. to hear the entire interview. You're not going to want to miss it.
Absolutely not. She's incredible. Now, this week, Florida demonstrated its resolve on justice, on immigration, on fiscal responsibility, and on education.
And as the state continues to challenge federal overreach, enforce its laws, and protect its families, Florida remains at the forefront of national debates.
And that's the political pulse of the Sunshine State. They've censored the truth, manipulated the narrative, and told you to sit down and shut up.
But not here, not on our mic.
Open Mic with Ali and Michelle is the podcast where free speech lives, patriotism thrives, and the truth doesn't whisper, it roars.
That's right. We break down the stories the media buries, the policies that threaten your freedom, and the culture chaos Gen Z is waking up to literally every day.
From whistleblower exposés and global conflicts to the spiritual war on masculinity, we don't just talk about it, we say what they won't.
That's right. If you're tired of soft takes, scripted spin, and really plastic politics, it's time to tune in and turn up.
Because this mic is always open.
And now we will go to our much anticipated Faith in Focus section with Kevin Gamble.
Welcome to Faith in Focus. Today we're diving into a topic that has fascinated humanity for centuries. Is there evidence for a soul that transcends the physical brain? Recent insights from neuroscience, particularly from renowned neurosurgeon Dr. Michael Egner, suggest that the answer may lean toward a yes. Even more compelling, near-death experiences, or NDEs, are providing modern experimental evidence that challenges materialist views of consciousness. Let's explore how science and faith converge to point toward the existence of an immortal soul. For centuries, many scientists have argued that we are nothing more than our physical brains, cells, tissue, and electrical signals that define who we are. But Dr. Michael Egner, a neurosurgeon with over 40 years of experience and more than 7,000 brain surgeries under his belt, challenges this view. In his book, The Immortal Mind, A Neurosurgeon's Case for the Existence of the Soul, co-authored by Denise O'Leary, Dr. Egner argues that the human mind is more than the brain. He proposes that the soul, a spiritual immaterial essence, transcends our physical bodies. So what led to Dr. Egner to this conclusion? Early in his career, he was a committed atheist, believing science could explain everything, including consciousness. But his experiences in the operating room began to shift his perspective. He encountered patients with significant brain damage or missing large portions of their brains, who still retained their ability to think, reason, and maintain their sense of self. For example, he describes patients with half their brains removed who were still really fine, defying textbook explanations of how the brain supposedly accounts for the mind. This led him to question the materialist view that the mind is merely a product of brain activity. He began to explore Thomistic dualism, a philosophy rooted in the teachings of Aristotle and Thomas Aquinas, which posits that the irrational soul, or capacity for abstract thought and free will, is immaterial and distinct from the body. Dr. Egner argues that while the brain controls bodily functions and processes sensory input, it cannot fully account for our ability to reason or make free choices, i.e. free will. One of the most compelling lines of evidence for the soul comes from near-death experiences, or NDEs. Dr. Egner defines an NDE as a lucid mental episode occurring during clinical death, typically after cardiac arrest when the brain activity flatlines. Survivors often report vivid experiences, leaving their bodies, observing the operating room, traveling through a tunnel or light, or meeting deceased loved ones. These accounts aren't rare. Tens of millions of NDEs have been documented across history, with specialized journals now analyzing them scientifically. A standout case is that of Pam Reynolds, which Dr. Egner calls the gold standard for verified NDEs. In 1991, Reynolds underwent a complex brain surgery to repair a life-threatening aneurysm. To perform the procedure, her surgical team cooled her body to a 50 degrees Fahrenheit, stopped her heart, drained the blood from her brain, and used EEG monitors to confirm no brain activity. She was clinically dead. Yet when revived, Reynolds described the exact shape of a specialized bone saw used in the surgery, a detail she couldn't have known, and overheard conversations in the operating room despite her ears being blocked with devices emitting loud clicks to monitor the brain activity. She also recounted a transcendent experience, traveling through a tunnel and meeting deceased relatives, which she described as more real than life itself. What makes cases like Pam's so striking is their veridical elements, details later confirmed by medical records or witnesses. Dr. Egner points out that roughly 1 in 5 modern NDE reports contain such verifiable details. For example, some patients see deceased relatives they didn't know had died, only to later confirm their passing. These experiences suggest that consciousness can persist when the brain is offline, challenging the idea that the mind is solely a product of brain activity. Materialist critics often attribute NDEs to physical causes like oxygen deprivation, endorphins, or seizures. But Dr. Egner counters that these conditions typically produce confusion or hazy imagery, not the vivid, coherent, and life-altering clarity of NDEs. He compares NDEs to the dark night of the soul, described by mystics like St. John of the Cross, where the silencing of ordinary brain activity allows a deeper spiritual reality to emerge. This aligns with his broader argument. The soul's rational aspects, like abstract thought and free will, are immaterial and cannot disintegrate like physical matter. He uses the analogy of the number 8, an abstract concept that exists independently of physical representation. Similarly, our capacity for reason and choice suggests a spiritual soul that persists beyond bodily death. The transformative impact of NDEs further supports this view. People who experience them often lose their fear of death, reorder their priorities, and develop a sharper ethical focus. Dr. Egner sees this as evidence that life is, quote, a preparation for a life that goes on and I think is eternal, end quote. These changes aren't just psychological, they point to an encounter with something profound and real. Dr. Egner's work doesn't stand alone. Other researchers like psychiatrist Bruce Grayson, author of After, and cardiologist Pim Van Lommel, author of Consciousness Beyond Life, have documented similar patterns in NDEs, reinforcing the idea that consciousness may not be confirmed to the brain. Even skeptics are beginning to take notice, as the growing body of verified NDE accounts challenge the materialist paradigm. For those of us exploring faith, these findings resonate deeply. The idea of an immortal soul aligns with the Judeo-Christian belief that we are more than just our bodies, created with a purpose that extends beyond this life. Dr. Egner's journey from atheism to faith, sparked by a profound spiritual experience during a family crisis, reminds us that science and faith aren't at odds. They can point to the same truth. So what does this mean for us? It suggests that the soul isn't just a poetic idea, but a reality supported by modern neuroscience and experiences like NDEs. It invites us to consider that our choices, our reasoning, and our encounters with the divine are part of something eternal. As Dr. Egner puts it, the purpose of good science is to follow the evidence where it leads. And the evidence is increasingly pointing toward the existence of a soul that transcends the physical brain. That's all for today's Faith in Focus. If you're intrigued by this topic, I highly recommend checking out Dr. Michael Egner's book, The Immortal Mind. God bless.
Thank you, Kevin, for keeping our faith front and center as always, and for reminding us and showing us that there is evidence, science is catching up to the Bible, that there is evidence that a soul exists beyond our own comprehension and beyond the physical brain.
Absolutely. Guys, for Coastal Conservative News, I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger.
We will see you next week at 7 p.m. Don't forget to tune in Monday for that exclusive interview with Bridget Ziegler, Sarasota County School Board member, right here on Coastal Conservative News.
And God bless you, and God bless the great state of Florida.